when Israel's statehood was announced, I remember it almost like through this. We didn't have private radios. I remember speakers being hooked up in the corner of the room, and the announcement of Israel becoming a state, and just everyone crying. And the next thing we knew was that we were, it might have been at night, that we were all asked that we were going to march all day and all night, and that's exactly what it seemed like, as if we were marching 24 hours in celebration with banners and all sorts of things.
Wonderful.
You know, all sorts of memorabilia to commemorate the celebration, the statehood of Israel. It was very emotional. It was singing and just I remember it was late at night, pitch dark, and we were parading. Other memories of my stay in Feldafing was that I was sent to a resort area referred to as Garmisch, and Garmisch is like the Swiss Alps, magnificent topography where people came and skied, and I was taught how to ski, and I remember jumping rope. I mean, I was doing things that a child does in that formative years. So there are fond memories of Feldafing for me.
The idea that it was so Zionistic, so Israel-oriented, do you think that's what gave hope to the people that survived? Do you think it was more than just...
I believe that hope was given, that we had a home to go to, and there was a place for us to go to, and there was no other place that we thought of. That was our destination. And yes, there was a certain life that was instilled in us, that was given to us at that point.
Yes, they being in the camp, which was the liberation of the Jewish state. That's the evening. That's a day which will be in my memory forever. It was a Sunday, and we didn't know. You know, it wasn't any newspapers, no radios. You didn't know, and we were suddenly arrived a jeep, and General Clark, he was the commander over this part occupied Germany army. We had like a football field, so he arrived on this, and people start to run and to look what happened. Then they brought out the microphone, and he said that that was the nearest camp we were. He was in Frankfurt, so we were the nearest camp, and he came to give us the honor that proclaimed the Jewish state. In the evening, he stayed on. That was with his wife on the jeep. In the evening, we had the gate, and it was the whole camp. We were 10,000 people came to the front, and came the first Jewish ambassador, such a little man, I don't know who it was at that time. And the gate opens, and a rabbi came with bread and salt to greet him, and when he came by car, but he stopped and walked in. And the American military orchestra played the Hatikva. That was, and a whole night people were dancing, and it was such a joyful day. That was the first time.
What were your feelings when you arrived in Israel?
The feelings were that at last I'm with my brothers who are still alive, with my sisters. There's going to be a big future for the Jewish people in Palestine. And of course I was an eyewitness to the proclamation of the Jewish state on the 14th of April 1948, and I was very, very happy about it.
While you were on the boat before you disembarked, and there was this feeling that you couldn't get off, what was that like for you?
This was the first time after the war that I did remember what I went through to the war, and I said, I'm going on an Egyptian ship, and who knows what they can do to us. But thank God they let us go through to Haifa, and we came into Haifa safely.
So where were you on the day that Israel was proclaimed a state?
I was in Haifa, and I was very happy.
Describe for us the kind of celebrations that went on.
I have seen thousands of people on the street singing, dancing, drinking, and everybody was happy, including me. And I knew that my brother, who was in Palestine, and he switched from Palestine to the state of Israel, was the happiest man in the world at the time. Very, very happy. And he said, you see, Tzvi, now you can see what happened to us and what kind of help we gave to the liquidation of the German Nazi army and to the liberation of so many camps, because there were quite a few Israelis who were partners in the liberations of camps in Europe. And we
in the British forces?
In the British forces. That was it. And I was very happy.
As a member of the police force,
yes,
you came across other Jews from different parts of the world?
Yes, I came
possibly
across of Jewish people from all over the world in the police force or in the city where I lived. I lived at the time in Neve Sha'anan, which is a small little suburb of Haifa. And in Neve Sha'anan I have seen and spoke to Jews whom from different countries that I wouldn't even pronounce their names, but they were the best people I have never met were people at the beginning in the state of Israel. But
what was their reaction to you as a survivor?
The reaction was that if we're going to have our own state, I was hoping that we will never see that what we saw during the German occupation, that we will never in our lives have another Holocaust. That was my reaction, and that was my belief, that we will never have another Holocaust again. But I have told myself that wherever I'm going to be, I will try to talk to people on what I went through and to explain them what to do in order to prevent another Holocaust.
In Israel, while I was in Israel, it became a state. And this was a moment in history that was unparalleled. I mean, to have been there at that time for me was a great blessing, privilege. What I saw was an astonishing situation during the vote taken over the radio from the United Nations. The people in the street were like frozen monoliths. Time stopped, sound stopped. Everyone sat wherever they were or stood and listened. No one, people had no discussions. And suddenly, when the votes were concluded, there was a huge scream. that evolved. And this was an amazing time because actually you must call it miraculous. After 2,000 years, of persecution, here was finally the miracle of the rebirth of the state of Israel. Naturally, things were not easy after that, and it's been a long struggle. But nonetheless, it was a miraculous time.